Hello and welcome to EvilGinger Miniatures Tuesday. This is my usual Tuesday thing, and it's actually on Tuesday, shockingly, mostly because I recorded it in advance, as it is not a live stream. Can't do live streams until I've sorted out the television thingy, and I should have started the timer. About now, because I've got a timer on the other screen, so I can actually make sure this is about 20 minutes long and not some random length. I'm not dying. I've been working in the workshop and there's a lot of dust in the workshop. What I'm going to be talking about today is some miniatures that I was putting together the other morning to carve myself down. They're Frostgrave Cultists and they're Frostgrave Cultists 3. I put together a sprue just to show off some of the options. Really ought to take some photographs of these for the website, but I'll paint these up and I'll stick these on Etsy as, you know, villainous, evil, culty type people. This guy's got a pole arm. It's a very nice halberd bill thing. Probably could option with that is to chop the head off and rotate it so that the blade, he's coming at you with a blade, but that looks like he's finishing a sweep, and he could be starting a sweep if the head was the other way around. Then we have this guy who is a sword and shield guy. He would be a warrior for Frostgrave. He's holding a shield by Punch Boss, which is why it's in the front of him, and also why I've glued it on so early. I normally leave shields off until after I have painted most of the figure, because often they obscure detail behind them, and this guy doesn't. He's got a hand axe which looks like a blade is a shoulder blade, and his sword could be magical or not, but he's a generally nasty, bandity, culty type person, which is what these people are ideal for. We also have an archery type, who could just be an archer, or in Frostgrave terms, he could be a ranger, who are faster moving archery types. And it's a nice dynamic figure with 1 foot off the ground. I need to, and probably will do later on camera, just put some milliput around the edge of these models, and then when I've got some better light, I'll start cleaning off any mould lines. There aren't that many as it's new moulds. There's always a little bit of filling to do, but the light level in here is too dark for me to do anything detailed like painting, because I can't see very well in the dark. Again, thuggy type with a hammer, with a club. That's actually a Zulu Nobakari, I believe, or something very close to it. But he's got a short sword and he's got loads of loot on the back if you look closely. Get this on camera. There you are. And then we have the last one, who needs a bit more filling than the others, because I managed to, if you have a look, get this up in the right place. You have a look, there's a little white mark on there, and that's where I twisted the thing off the sprue, and I should really have cut it because it's left a dip. This guy is again a thievy assassin type, with his knife, and possibly would even do as an apprentice. Well, that arm would do as an apprentice arm, and you'd actually have a nice core of a warband there. You'd need about 8 figures to make up the core of a warband. I usually do 4 of the free to use ones, which are thugs and thieves, and then 4 of the ones you actually have to pay for, which are normally basic things like men at arms, which is the polearm guy, soldiers, which is the guy with the shield, and crossbowmen, which I haven't modelled from, as there's only 5 figures on the sprue. That would be the 6, so you would have 4 paid for troops and 4 not paid for, who would be basically done up as similar to these, with no armour and very basic weapons for a starter warband. And of course then you'd have your mage and your thing, Mage and your apprentice, and that's your lot, because you've only allowed 10 figures, all of which can be paid for, but you're going to be pushing it to afford 10 paid for troops in a starter warband, and this is the idea of doing a starter warband. This is Milliput. This is basically filler. It's in the new crinkly wrapping, which I'm not that much of a fan of, and I shall be doing a Milliput ring around the base on these while I'm on camera, because I've had an interesting day, especially with the problem with recording stuff and stuff not recording, and other things that are going on the outside. And of course I'm preparing to cause a crisis in Belgium, and that requires a bit more logistics than jumping on a train, which is what it did in the old days, and you just got on a train to Europe, and as long as you had the money you could get there. Fortunately I now have to take passports and ID, and I'm going to have to sit and do have people assess me and do biometrics and crap like that, and I can't take any of the things I would really like to take, like the ancestral axe and male shirt, because the fact that I will be wearing steelies is probably going to set off enough metal detectors as it is. But wish me luck, I'm going to be going on the tube for the first time this millennium, because I used to work in London. Mad fool I was when I was younger. I'm not a people and crowd person, and I have got to get from Victoria Station to St Pancras, hopefully in the middle of a Tuesday, which means it will probably not be that busy, and I've got to be taking with me all the stuff that I need to do. I've also got a tablet which I probably need to set up, and I've never set up a tablet, and I've also got to back up the tablet to make sure that all the stuff that the previous owner had is off it, so it doesn't matter if I lose it in Belgium or I get annoyed with it and chuck it in the docks at Antwerp, which is highly likely, because my tolerance for IT and its peculiarities at the minute it's a bit thin, shall we say. What I'm doing is just putting a fillet round there, just so that the moulded in base and the plastic base are of a level. I probably have to mix some more putty, because as usual I've probably either over or underestimated it, and it's very hard doing sculpting when you can't actually see what you're doing. It's not on my eyesight as such, it's the dark in here, which is why normally there would be a lot more bulbs going on, but owing to it wiping me out and probably having to fiddle with the colour sensitivity of the camera to get it right so it doesn't look quite so washed out and like somebody's used a flash on me, or I'm a ghost. I'm not, trust me, I'm not. That's pretty much what I'm going to have to do at some point, or I'm going to have to do this sort of thing down in the workshop where the lighting is much better and probably wouldn't glare out a camera as much, because there's less walls. Well, there's more space for the light to diffuse around and not appear to be coming from some quite such a OSL thing. And unfortunately I don't look as quite as nice as the OSL models, not with me ghostly face, and I'm pale enough being ginger anyway. So that's the curse of the gingers, the dead fish white skin, which those of you who are in the Ginger Club will know, and those who aren't probably are feeling a little bit icky about. Sorry, but if I have to put up with it, so do you. And keeping doing a bit more of these bases. I will photograph these and I will use them as the thumbnail for this when I get it posting, and I'm probably going to get it set up before I have to disappear off to the beta site to be a nurse again. And an IT technician, because the beta site is IT technical problems Not that I don't have enough of those at home, but the IT technical difficulties with systems that I don't use very often, and can't stand it anyway because they're Android related stuff, and it's the law of the channel is such that you should know that I don't get on with smartphones at all. My one engagement with smartphones ended up costing me an absolute fortune, as I was pressing buttons I wasn't intending to press, just because they were in the way of where you were holding the phone. I was using it as a camera. It wasn't as good as this camera, but I mislaved both of my cameras at that point. So I thought, oh, it's got a 1600 pixel camera. These have only got 8 or 9, but they've got much bigger lenses. So the difficulty, smartphones make up the fact that they've got tiny little lenses, with having really high density, high resolution cameras. And my normal fee was about 30 quid a month at that point for the whole internet, which the phone was on. And that month I ended up running up 100 quid because it refused to use my Wi-Fi. And I didn't know it had refused to use my Wi-Fi until after I'd taken a load of pictures on it. The phone is currently in a drawer because it's got personal data on it, so it's not being sold or anything, but it's in a drawer, and I cancelled it off the contract as soon as I could. This is why I use an EvilGinger style phone, a feature phone, because these work and don't cause me hassle. But unfortunately, the cameras on them are really crappy, and you wouldn't use it for anything precision. I need something better than this, but I'm probably going to go for a digital SLR at some point when I've got more money than I currently have, or I've had a chance to save up properly. Because DLSLR, this cost me $300-400. A DLSLR, which I'll be using to do exactly the same work as that, and will cost me $400, and it will cost me, and I'll require a macro lens on it. It will probably make my painting look particularly crap, because that's one of the things about digital photography, is it's cruel, and it picks up every error you will ever make. It also picks up things that people wouldn't notice if they were staring at the figure, because human eyesight is not designed for that sort of thing, and the human eye and the way you remember things and the way you fill in details for speed of processing tends to be very forgiving. So if you take pictures of your figures and they look horrible, and they didn't when you looked at them, that's why. And it's not particularly fun. If you put a lot of effort into something and you really think it's great, and you take some pictures of it on your phone and it looks like it's made by a 6-year-old who was having some sort of turn with a brush, it's something that happens to all of us, and you just have to learn to paint to the camera, and it will make your painting better, and it will mean that your pictures don't look quite so horrible as you think they look, at the start. But cameras and phones and taking pictures of figures is another skill set on top of painting figures, on top of doing, or failing to do in my case at the moment, video editing, recording things, and of course demoing and running games. Now that's second nature to me. I've been GMing for a very long time, and I'm pretty much almost the first generation of D&D people. So, and as always, I ran out of stuff halfway through, so I overdid the stuff, so I have made some more walls. So my Frostgrave scenery will be getting a random wall, or that will be built into something that's very grubbed out. by the ice in Frostgrave or some other ruin. I've got loads of those floating around, and I can't resist building more of them because I don't like throwing away putty. I can put it to good use. Of course, the other trick would be to do more figures, but then again, I'd make more stuff, and you guess it, there'd be spare. There's always spare. Anyway, those will go off, and I will switch the lighting on and improve it, and I'll start probably putting under the coat on those tomorrow. I've not got in a state where I can paint this week because I've been running around doing things like the deliveries and sorting out deliveries that didn't work and post and stuff like that. So I haven't actually managed to do anything of what's left of the commission stuff. And this was meant to be a get me to relax and get back into doing it, but unfortunately it happened on a day where there were deliveries all going wrong, and I couldn't get through to couriers, and joy and fun was in abundance. I do hate people who have to hide behind telephone systems which are impenetrable to anybody that's dyslexic. I'm probably going to consider going after some people with the Disabilities Discrimination Act because it's just flipping ridiculous. If you get through to a person, you can read a code out to them. If you're trying to faff around with a mobile phone keypad or worse, a virtual keypad on a smartphone, it's even less fun if you've got any dyslexic type issue. And they've stopped letting people get round the systems now, so you have to go through it or you can't. And at the moment I have issues with Every and with DHL. Every I wouldn't normally use because they are dreadful, and I would like people not to do that to me because I can fall out with people quite severely, and that's Book of Grudges material, sending stuff to Simon by Every. And the other thing is, another one is DHL, who I've had good dealings with, but they've obviously changed their system since I had dealings with them last, so I'm probably going to set up an account and start moaning at them to get it adapted. And it's not special pleading, it is genuinely you're stuck on the end of a phone and you need to talk to a human being because it would take a few seconds with a human being, but it'll take you an hour and a half. And the other people I want to have a shout at is PayPal, because I had to make a complaint on PayPal and they chuck you out very quickly nowadays, quicker than they used to. And if I'm trying to double check and read things, last thing I want is it chucking me out and then blanking everything. You should at least remember what you're doing if it's going to chuck you out, or have something come up and say, "Oi, have you finished yet? And do you want more time?" Because that's often what happens, and it's appreciated when it's set up like that. Anyway, I'm going to stop here because I've been going for nearly 20 minutes, thanks to the timer, and I am degenerating into moaning about modernity, and I don't think that's very interesting or on topic. So take care, everybody, and goodbye while I do my little where is the mouse pointer game. Which again, where is the mouse pointer? And goodbye.